Greetings, folks! I'm Jim. I use he, him pronouns, and today we are playing Don't Rest Your Head, a game about nightmares and superpowered insomniacs. We're going to go around and introduce everyone and ask them to tell us who they're playing and maybe just a little tagline about who their character is. Then we'll get a little bit deeper into everything. I'm just going to go around on my screen. I will go from me clockwise. Let's do that. So I'm going to start with Trey or Beast. Hello.
Hey, it's Beast here, and I use he, him pronouns. I'm going to be playing Virgil Jackson, a older man who has a bit of a drinking problem and does a lot of gambling, whose son has recently disappeared.
Excellent. Cool. We like meaty stuff like that. And next round, we're going to say hello to Megan. Hello.
Hello, I'm Megan. I use she, her pronouns. I'm playing Ellie Thompson, who is a young professional who's recently undergone some tragedy in her life.
Awesome. And Nox. Hey!
Hello, I'm Nox, she, her pronouns, and I'll be playing Jolene Nall. I'm a social media influencer. I have hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. Unfortunately, my mom recently passed, and that's been really tough for me because not a lot of people want to be my actual friend. But yeah, I get to go on all kinds of awesome vacations, hang out with celebrities, so I can't complain too much, I guess.
This is going to be very... I can feel the tragedy coming. This is going to be awesome. And finally, Kelly. Hello.
Hello. So I'm Kelly, aka Lane on Twitter, and today I'll be playing Melody Crane, who is a novelist. She writes stories that are inspired by true unsolved crimes, and she's very put together looking, but has kind of a darker history that might come out today.
Excellent. Cool. Well, now this game in particular can be a deep psychological horror game. So just so you folks will know, we're going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. If we hit something that's crossing a line for you, any of the players can type an X in the Zoom video chat and we'll back up and do something else. If something happens that you're okay having in the game, but you don't want a graphic description of it, type an N in the Zoom chat, and we'll fade to black on it or we'll put it behind a veil. So it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if you're in the midst of intense role-playing and you think you might be worried, and you think we might be worried that you're really upset or out of character, you can put an O in the chat to let us know you're okay and that we're good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is we can put an O with a question mark after it when we describe something and then think maybe it might be a little too much. Then everyone else can respond to that to let us know if we're still doing okay. So I'm going to let answers to some of the character questions come out in the course of play, but before we begin, I kind of want to go around and talk a little bit about what's been keeping these folks awake. And so I'm going to go around one more time in the same order. And I'm going to kill the intro music because that's quite enough of that for right now. We're going to go around and in the same order. Trey, tell us a little bit about Virgil. What's been keeping Virgil awake?
Well, he hasn't been able to sleep because of his teenage son. The two of them got into an argument about his apparent gambling problem, and he left the home and then disappeared.
Cool. And so something would have happened. All the characters here are developing a connection to this to the rest of the world, called sort of being awake with a capital A. And this means that they're now able. They've been awake so long they can now see the nightmares, and the nightmares can now see them. So, there is some event recently that would have been just enough to push the character over the edge enough so that they bumped into awake territory. So something happened recently. What happened to you?
To me?
Yes.
My son had, the two of us had gotten into a very, rather heated argument, and he disappeared.
Okay. All right, cool. I'll tie it. So it actually all came as like, okay. All right, very cool, very cool. And we're gonna go around to Megan. Tell us what's keeping Ellie awake.
Ellie is dealing with some survivor's guilt because she and her fiance were out on a date, and then they were mugged, and things went bad, and he died. And so the guilt is sort of what's keeping her up.
Ooh. Okay, that's not good. And was that the thing also that recently happened, or did something else more recently happen that triggered you to being awake with a capital A?
So I'm playing, I think, a little fast and loose with how fast the criminal justice system really moves. But the mugger got sentenced, and he did not get very much time in prison, and that sort of really pushed Ellie over the edge. So I am on my way to stay with my family, taking a leave of absence from work because I'm just not dealing with this very well.
Excellent. Good. Excellent. As we go, by the way, folks, those of you who may be watching, let me know if there is an instance of the music being too loud, or if I sound weird or too low pitched or anything else weird is happening with the sound, because that's been a beast I've been fighting with for the last 3 weeks. So it is any feedback on that is much appreciated as we go, and I shall make adjustments as best I can on the fly. And now, Knox, what has been keeping Joe awake?
Well, it's a lot of work. I'm not gonna look at Beast over here. I'll just put a post-it note on his face. It's been a lot of work keeping editing my photos, so that's what I do when I'm up at night in my bed. I don't use anything fancy. I just use like little creative apps on your phone. So that takes a lot of time. I'm very committed to that. Unfortunately, my mom did die recently. It was very sudden. Ugh, holy shit! It was very sudden. It was a stroke, and don't have a very strong relationship with her side of the family. They're very conservative Christian. Did not like that my mom had me out of wedlock, so we don't really stay in touch too much unless they need something. But and I'm flying to Sephora is releasing a new line of makeup, and they have flown me out to be a part of that event and promote their brand. So I'm very excited for that.
Cool. All right. And is that okay, now we get early onset Alzheimer's for Jim, because I've forgotten if I've asked you yet what pushed you over into being awake. What just happened to you? Did I ask that yet or no?
That was the stroke.
That was the stroke. Okay, good. I kind of figured, but as I myself begin suffering one, currently. Yay. All right. More caffeine. Kelly, tell us, what is keeping Melody awake?
So Melody is, like I said, she's a crimes novelist, so she spends a lot of time kind of talking to police and kind of staying in houses or places where creepy things happen to try and get a feel for what's going on. And as one can expect, that just being surrounded by that kind of all the time just kind of has left her awake at night. It makes it very difficult for her to fall asleep. But recently she was staying in a house. Go away. She was staying in a house where there had been like a dramatic death several years past. So she was staying in this abandoned house, and in the middle of the night she could have sworn that she saw her little brother, or her brother. But her brother disappeared a very, very long time ago, and he looked the age that he would have disappeared at and not what he would have looked like now.
Okay. So I'm going to ask a couple of follow-up questions of everybody because there are details I just would like to be aware of. For how old was Virgil's son?
Probably like 13, 14 area. Do you have a name for Virgil's son? Not off the top of my head.
Okay,
that's
we can
something.
stumble across that whenever we do.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And for Ellie, and they're just as I'm sort of trying to look back again over the character sheets in here. So Ellie's date was mugged and she was shot and ran away. Okay. And well, do you have a name for who that was? The date you were with?
So her fiance is Ivan.
Fiance. Okay. Ivan. Fiance. Excellent. Cool. All right. Yeah. Some of this as actually it's like as the players are saying them, I'm looking and it's like, oh, that is on the character sheet. But it's just one of those things where like, I gotta get everything ready. Okay.
Too much information.
I know, right? And let's see. Knox, do you happen to have a name for Joe's mother? You don't have to, but just if you happen to, I just wanted to get it.
TBD.
TBD null. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Yeah. All right. And see, it seemed to me there was. Oh yeah, does she prefer Joe or Jolene?
I think that her family calls her Jolene, but she prefers Joe because, it doesn't sound so old-fashioned.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Okay. And I'm also going to check for Kelly. Do you have a name for your for Melody's brother?
I've been sitting here trying to think of one. I think his name, it's going to be Matthew and Melody because they were twins.
Ooh, okay.
She was the older twin, which was really important when they were 6, but...
Yeah, it's vitally important. About how old are the both of you? Or how old was he when he disappeared?
They were like 6, I think.
Okay, so he was 6 years old. And about how long has it been? Roughly.
Probably like 25, 30 years, something like that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Excellent. Okay. All right. Let's see.
I thought of a name for Joe's mom.
Cool. What you got?
Faye. Faye.
Excellent. Okay. Now, before we things are lining up. This is good. Okay. One thing I did want to ask before we dive in, does anyone have any questions or want about how the game works, or want me to go over anything that is on the character sheet?
Not off the top of my head.
Cool. We did this a little bit before we started, but also I just wanted to give folks an opportunity now that things are starting to perhaps sink in a little bit if they thought of anything. That's cool. All right. So let us go ahead and get this thing started. So we're actually, this whole thing is going to start on an airplane. You're going to be on a flight going from one place to another. The specific destination might not necessarily matter too much, but it could be a thing. It could be a thing. If you would like to decide where it is that you're all headed, that's cool. It's perfectly fine by me. But let's sort of figure that out. I'm thinking this is probably not a huge flight. I'm thinking it is probably a red-eye.
Like Southwest or something.
Yeah. Something along those lines. Where do you think we're headed?
Well, we know that. So Joe's going somewhere that Sephora's at. So we could either be going to like our destination, or it could be like a layover for people. You know, if that makes sense.
Sure. Whether you're going to, so it could be like, yeah. Whether you're
Maybe
going
like
to heaven or
Denver?
hell, you'll connect in Atlanta. I think that was the saying. So it could be somewhere like that. Where do you folks want to be headed toward?
Well, where Ellie's visiting her family, right? So where's her family from?
Somewhere West Coast, I think, because that makes sense with Sephora events too.
So like California somewhere maybe.
Yeah, LA.
Cool. All right. So you're on a flight that's going to connect somewhere and then head on to LA for LA to LA. But in the middle somewhere is probably something like Houston, something along those lines, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Personally, I just feel that Virgil's just trying to like leave. He doesn't want to be where he is anymore.
No specific destination in mind.
No specific, just needs to get away.
Excellent.
GTFO'd.
So let's see how we do this. There are not a huge number of other folks on this flight. It is not a big plane. It is one of the smaller planes. And as Jim demonstrates, he does not know planes per se. All Jim knows about planes is like, where am I sitting? Okay, there. But in this case, I'm going to presume. Well, let me ask briefly, what class is everyone in? Because I'm going to presume this flight has at least a first class and a coach.
Just in coach.
Everyone in coach?
Virgil's definitely.
Maybe business class, if that exists, or one of those like premium seats in coach.
All right. So let's see.
I feel like Ellie is probably continuing on to LA to like meet with her like publishing team or her agent or something. So she's probably actually flying first class.
She could be.
Y'all fancy.
They if you're a
I mean, she's a successful crimes novelist. She's not, she's probably going to like a book signing or something.
She doesn't have like 100,000 or more Instagram followers or anything, but whatever.
So just so I've got it, okay. So just so I am just so I'm understanding. We've got Virgil potentially is in coach. Yes, was that what you said?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
100%.
And Ellie is in, we think, business class or
Yeah,
or first
Business class if there's a business class. If not, in a premium coach seat, the ones with like a little extra legroom.
You can. We'll say there is a small business class on this plane. It is only slightly larger than the first class, though. So it's like whereas first class would have maybe 6 seats. This business class has like 10 seats, pretty much, and there's probably like only one other person in business class with you on this plane right now. I'm thinking they are probably asleep. And so let's see. Joe is in what class is Joe in?
Coach.
Joe's in coach. And Kelly, where did you say which class did you want Melody to be in? Did you say first, or did you say she was in
First.
First class. Gotcha. All right. Cool. All right. So Virgil and Joe are both in coach, where there are again a number of there are a number of folks, but only really a handful. They're scattered across the plane, so not very many. Melody is alone in first class, and they're basically Ellie's got like one other person there in business class. So after so it's been a while. You're getting closer, you think, at this point. There hasn't been really much to see out the window. It's been all clouds. It's nothing terribly interesting that you can see below.
I'm still finding a way to take like pictures and like pictures of like my little like pretzels or whatever, and like really overpriced like gin and tonic or some shit.
Everyone will be delighted with these pictures when they wake up and see them. Or if you have followers in Europe, they probably are commenting on them because they'd be awake at this point. So you hear the captain say, "We're going to be getting some turbulence in a little bit. We've got a pocket of weather up ahead. Should be okay. We're gonna go ahead and we've got to go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and head through so that we can complete our flight to Houston on time. But in a little bit, you may see the fasten seatbelt lights come on." Stops. Plane kind of shakes a little bit he begins making evasive maneuvers against the clouds. Let's see. So, as let's see, how do we want to do this? Joe, as you're scrolling through, your various things, you've got your various things up. I think, if I remember correctly, once you're actually in the air, usually you can get. I think planes have the Wi-Fi these days, do they not?
Yeah, you can pay extra for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've absolutely paid extra. Are you kidding me?
So you should have access to the interwebs. So as you're going through, you've been scrolling, but it's not the most awesome connection, but you're getting at least some feedback a little more slowly than it usually comes in, someone has on their Instagram has posted what looks like a sort of an old-timey newspaper front, and it says on it, ring of kidnappers exposed. And it's at first you think it's just this little kitschy thing one of the people you follow has posted. But as you're looking at it, the weird thing about it is that it's one of the faces. You've got people being, it looks like, pushed into a big sort of paddy wagon, like an old-fashioned paddy wagon, and the faces, one of the faces of the people in that picture, as you sort of zoom in, because somebody had tagged you on this, looks kind of like you.
Why did they tag me on this? Is that... Ugh, you gotta be kidding me. They photoshopped my face in here.
And they even they put the date in as tomorrow's date.
Ugh, what a bunch of assholes. I'm gonna
Yeah.
DM him.
Jerks. How dare they? Yeah. And as you're looking, that was sent by the. Do I have it written down here? I do. The Midnight Herald.
All right. Well, they're a dick.
They are.
Photoshopping my face in this picture.
How dare they? And you see there basically there are a couple of. It's like it's a city street. There are a lot of different people around, adults and kids and such. But I presume you don't look at it too deeply once you find your face on there, and you just
No, yeah.
Yeah, you just delete. Okay. So while this is going on, one of the few other people that's awake on this flight right now that you can see is over in a seat further up, and he seems to be perhaps trying to rest, but is unable to. Just sort of tossing a bit, and the thing is that whenever and actually coming around as we're zooming out a little bit, let's actually get some more information here. As we're transitioning, before we transition over to this gentleman, and this is partially answered on what's on the surface. What does what does Joe look like?
Joe is like 5'7", fit, white, blonde hair. That's like always like nice beachy kind of waves. She wears jeans and t-shirts, and cute shoes, and just always like looks fashionable, but in a sort of, I didn't try very hard, but I definitely planned this outfit kind of way. But for the purpose of the flight, she's got like one of those like hair buns that sits like directly on top of your head that the kids are doing these days. And she's in like jogging pants and like a hoodie.
Okay, cool. So anyway, that's what sort of the camera sees as it pulls back and sort of then pans over, and you see, sort of looking at this one fellow who's seated a little bit further up. This fellow is Virgil. What do we see? What's on the surface with Virgil?
So, Virgil, he he's an older man, probably about 40, 45. He's very unkempt, has a longer beard, just going haywire. Semi-kept hair, but you can tell that he hasn't probably brushed it in at least a month. And just overall, just like blue jeans and a jacket, just not worrying about how he looks.
Excellent. There's a so you've decided to try to use the in-flight radio, basically, where they give you you have to pay like $3 or more for a headset, and since this was the red eye, you were able to just get it for free. There was something happened that you were able to get it for free. Maybe there was there might have been delayed takeoff or some such thing, or just basically it's just like, hey, we got a bunch of these left over. You want one? And as you're what station would Virgil be listening to right now?
Probably just like a heavy metal station. I can't think of one, or not heavy metal, but just like a 90s rock station.
90s rock. Okay, excellent. Yeah. So they've been playing. There's been a decent amount of Nirvana, and that's about. I lived through the 90s, and yet somehow I'm having trouble remembering the bands. But that's okay. You hear some more of those. But and in between, every now and then, they have these ads that come up. Savage Garden, Counting Crows, bands like that. We will never know how many crows there really were. But one of these ads comes through, and you hear, essentially, "Have I got an offer for you?" Yes, you, sitting there in the plane right now. You are about to have an amazing opportunity. An opportunity to be reunited with that you care most about. All you have to do is bring us a suspect. You'll be with them soon. You'll recognize them soon. And once you've landed, bring them to us, and we'll give you what you've been looking for. Just come to the building with the giant T. You'll know it when you see it.
And I think Virgil's just gonna kind of like be like, what, whatever, and just go on about listening to whatever's coming on and just not pay much attention to it.
A steward comes by with just one more round of drinks and peanuts, should anyone want any. And you can tell they're very tired on their feet right now as well. And as they just sort of turn around or are heading back toward the, they've at this point turned around. They're heading back toward the. They're actually getting ready to do that. You see them go. They're doing that thing where they keep the thing at the back of the plane, but they need to go up to the front of the plane because they have to serve first class first. And as we see them go by, they go into past the little wall into business class, and there we see there's a dude asleep, and then we see Ellie, who has does Ellie have a is Ellie got a window seat, or did she go for an aisle seat, or where is Ellie sitting?
Aisle seat.
Okay. So this steward goes past wheeling his cart, and or is starts to. What do we see? What's on the surface with Ellie?
So Ellie is looking pretty put together. Still, she's wearing her relaxed traveling clothes, which is like slacks and a blouse. But she's like really pale. She looks like someone who hasn't slept very much. So she has like the bags under her eyes that the makeup can't quite conceal anymore. And she is taking full advantage of the like cheaper booze in business class. Or you think you get at least one free alcohol, and she's definitely had that, and then maybe one or two more.
Excellent. So you're feeling okay right now, as these things happen. You see that essentially, as the steward is going by, sort of picking up stray blankets and magazines, he will actually pause for just a second before heading to first class, and we'll just sort of ask, "Can I take anything for you?" And if not, then he's just going to. There's a. He will pick up. There are like these sort of little sort of magazine paper things that they put in. They put down there, and there's one that's actually happens to be laying on the seat opposite you. Mm-hmm. And you see him pick it up, and for just a second, as he's picking it up and stuffing it into the into his little sort of garbage bag, you see briefly a figure that reminds you a lot of the person who mugged you.
I guess I'm gonna try to grab the magazine out of his hand.
So he's like, what? Oh, you want this?
Yes, thank you. I
Sure.
can't sleep.
Okay. He hands it to you, and he says, "I'll be back in a minute if you want anything to eat or drink." And
Thanks.
he continues rolling forward. As you look at it, you look at the magazine, and it's weird because as you're looking over the magazine, it doesn't really. What you're looking at is it's an ad. Mm-hmm. For what kind of thing would this be an ad for? Remind me what Ellie does. What Ellie does again?
She does a banking or investment or something like that.
Okay, actually, that's perfect. It's basically just says, "Don't get caught unawares." So it seems to be an ad for some kind of insurance, and you see someone. The figure is holding bags of money that apparently he's just extracted from an armored car, and is in running pose, just running away from the armored car. And the more you look at it, the more it looks like the person who mugged you.
When did the magazine come out? Is it like a new one?
You're flipping through. The odd thing about it, it's hard to actually figure out what kind of magazine this is. It's like it's all ads. And you finally you get to the front and you find the date, and it's actually the date is next month, which is common enough, it would if it's new, but it does look very old and ratty.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to rip out the ad with him on it and start tearing it into pieces and putting it in like the ice in my empty cup.
Okay. So as you're doing that, the steward has by now moved on to into first class, where we see Melody. And what is on the surface with Melody? What does she look like?
So Melody looks, despite the late hour, she looks pretty put together. She's wearing kind of like a button-down collared shirt and dress pants. You can see like a suit jacket she's put probably on the seat next to her. She's got glasses and a bun, and is probably got like a computer on like one side kind of open up, and she's occasionally like trying to like respond to emails with her like agent and her publicist. And then but on the other hand, she's got like a very worn out looking notebook, and she's like scribbling.
Excellent. Cool. What is she taking notes about right now?
She's probably recounting her basically last night when she was in this kind of creepy murder house, and writing down as much as she can remember from her experience there, and and you see kind of like for a while it's like paragraphs of like description of what actually happened, and then she'll like flip a page, and the next page will be like individual lines or like outlines of a story.
Okay, cool. So aisle or seat?
Window seat.
Window seat. Aisle or seat. Why did I say that?
I followed you.
If you're in the aisle, you're crouching. Note to self. Window or seat. There we go. Yay, words. Okay. So the steward has turned around at this point and is coming down and asks you if you want anything.
And she asks for like a glass of red wine.
Okay. Excellent. He pulls up a bottle of wine, pours out a glass. Let's see. He just pours it, hands it to you, and smiles, nods, and continues on. If we don't have to do the whole exchange, but if you wanted pillow, blanket, anything like that, he offered that and all that stuff, whatever they usually do. Basket full of pretzels, that type of thing. Roast leg of insurance salesman. I'm not sure what they have in first class. Basically that's happening, he's continuing on back through business class. So you can see out the window right now, and it's you can see there's lightning playing throughout the clouds, just around and slightly below you, and one of the strangest things as you're down there. And it's difficult to pinpoint precisely, but it's like, you can sort of see little shapes in the clouds, that kind of thing.
I'm trying to get pictures of them with my phone.
Cumulonimbus. You can Melody in particular, you're in position to see this sort of just before you enter a cloud bank. You see what looks like it's really brief, but it's like someone wearing a bowler hat and a striped coat and wearing a very loud vest, and looks rather and looks sort of has a strangely sort of metallic face. We can't really see the face very well, but there's this sort of a round face, and it's like he's standing on the surface of a cloud and pointing up at the plane, and this surge of lightning seems to just channel right out through his extended hand, and the plane shakes, and then you go into a cloud bank, and you can't see anything. There is now a lot of turbulence, and a couple of folks on the flight are like, and the person, the steward immediately is now rolling back. The steward is just, Ellie, you see the steward make it into business class and is just getting ready to offer you something, and then has to suddenly things start shaking and just to pull back and starts heading back toward the front. You see that the fasten seatbelt light has come on, and you hear, everyone, we're experiencing more turbulence than we thought. We're going to hold through okay. We need. And the fasten your seatbelt light, the lights are flickering on and off. The fasten seatbelt lights are actually flickered on and off again, and they don't come back on. The plane is shaking. There are the guy who was asleep is still asleep. Most of the passengers seem to be fine. They're like just sort of looking around. They started to buckle their seatbelts, and then they look up and they unbuckle their seatbelts. But don't seem to be reacting crazily at all to all this happening.
I'm looking around because I'm definitely freaked out by the flying experience, and I'm just like looking around to see like anyone else's reaction. Yeah.
And they look at best the other like handful of folks in coach. They look maybe a little disappointed, but as they're just sort of looking, and they can feel some turbulence clearly because they're moving back and forth in reaction to it. But this is like, they didn't seem to notice the lights going off and on. There's now lightning flashing at the windows, and the entire plane is shaking back and forth, and they just don't seem at all concerned. Well, there's one other person in coach that you see who looks concerned. Actually, it's that guy up ahead of you, who had his headphones on. You see Virgil basically looking around, as well, presumably.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like looking around, like what, like starting to like anyone nearby who is awake. Like, did you feel that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably it's a little turbulence. It happens all the time, but I guess they can't decide whether to keep our seatbelts on or not.
Oh, all right. And then like put on his headphones again and kind of just be wary.
As you put your headphones on, you briefly hear the captain cut in. He said, "Oh God, what the hell is it?" "Don't worry, everything is just fine. You'll all be exactly where you're supposed to be shortly." The strange thing about that is it's the same voice who did the ad. There is a mighty thud, and it's like compartments open and luggage falls down. People don't seem to be noticing it that much, or at best, there's like a couple who are sitting there like, "Oh, look at that." And this dude stands up and picks up his duffel bag, stuffs it back in, closes it. There's another jolt, and he gets hurled to the back of the plane. And his wife just sort of stands up, she's just like, "Are you okay?" and he sort of stumbles back forward. He's like, yeah, I'm fine. No one seems to be, and again, this for Ellie, the person who was asleep is still asleep, the guy who also in business. Melody, you saw the steward head back up to the front, and the steward seemed kind of aware of what was going on, but was like, it just seemed to be talking to someone who was like, what do you know? Hang on, let me talk to them. And he goes through and knocks and goes through into the door opens to the
Cabin.
Is that what they call them these days? Cabin. Jim apparently has forgotten all of his vocabulary today. Into the cockpit. That's the word I was looking for. So just door opens. He goes. And he's like looks. And he's like seems taken aback for a moment. Just sort of steps through. The door closes behind him. There is another.
Melody has kind of like craned out of her seat and is watching this happening while frantically typing a very angry email to Mark, her agent, and yelling at him for why that she was even on this flight to begin with. But I don't even know if that email is going to send, because I imagine that with the flickering lights, maybe the Wi-Fi is down.
Sending.
And she just like slams her laptop shut and just like starts cursing.
I'm trying to post on Twitter too, like adding the airline, like this is horrible service, blah 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 blah.
Before Twitter goes down, you get one at mention that you see, and it's from Insomniac 97, and it says, "Get out of there! They found you!" And there's a picture of that newspaper that you that came up on Instagram before. And then Twitter goes dark. A tragedy for millions.
I'm immediately going to withdraw to start convulsing.
No!
I'm just kidding.
And since the plane is so small, I imagine like the people in the back may actually hear like a laptop slam and like a really loud like F-bomb get dropped from
Yes.
first class.
Yeah, you can hear that. Yeah. Ellie being in the middle is in a perfect position to hear both of these things, essentially. You can hear that there's like there's a little bit of stumbling around in the back, and some frustration, and then there's more frustration coming from first class.
Yeah, Ellie is just sort of white knuckle clutching at her seat arms because she does not like the lack of control she has over this flight, and it's not going well.
Question. Is everyone wearing their seatbelts or no?
Yes.
Yeah, Melody would have put hers on when the light came on. If this lasts too much longer, though, she might be getting up to go knock on the cockpit door and get some answers.
I'd say Virgil didn't. Well, he went to put it on and then he saw it go off, so he just left it off.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I waited to put mine on because I'm like, oh, I hate wearing the seatbelt. But then once things started like moving and grooving, I was like, oh no, we're gonna put this on.
Okay. There is a mighty whump.
Whump.
Whole thing shudders. And those of you who do not have their seatbelts on are going to be hurled bodily about the cabin. I'm not going to make you roll anything, but it's because you don't go too far. But this is a thing where Virgil probably ends up How close to the front do you think you were? How close to business class were you?
Probably about like 3 or 4 seats back from the front. So
you now have you're now sort of lying splayed on the floor at the entrance to business class. Ellie, you look back and you hear someone go, and you look back and you see an older gentleman lying on the floor there, and don't look at chat, Jim. Don't look at chat. And then Joe is going to end up several seats away, sort of splayed over top of one of them, and just sort of tumbling into a seat that is across the aisle from where you were. And everything goes dark.
Melody curses again because she's suddenly covered in red wine.
Yep.
That's why I drink my liquor clear.
It's going to be a bitch to get that out. But, so there is darkness, and then slowly, lights come back up. You think perhaps these are the plane's emergency lights. But they don't seem to, well, they're just a little, they're a little more dim than the regular lights. So you're not sure if they're the emergency lights or not. There are no alarms going off. Masks have fallen from the ceiling. But not all of them fell. And yeah, it's like just sort of, you're just sort of sitting there. And the passengers are still, again, they're just sort of sitting, and they're like, And then they go back to sitting and chatting.
I'm gonna get up and look for one of the stewardess people, flight attendants.
All right. So you get up from where you are, and they're you sort of clamber back up, and you move toward the front or the back of the plane.
I'm gonna move towards the back because I know that the attendants usually have like a little hangout spot back there.
So you head back, and one of the flight attendants, she's sort of like, and she looks around and she says, "Oh yes, can I help you with something?"
Yeah, I'd like to know what the hell's going on with this flight.
Oh, we should be arriving soon.
That's not what I'm asking about.
What do you mean?
The plane is shaking all over the place. An older man just fell forward out of his seat. I don't see you guys anywhere helping anybody.
Oh,
the masks have fallen out of the ceiling.
Oh, let me take a look. And she comes forward, and she's looking around, and she's sort of looking back and forth. Is everybody all right? And she starts asking people if they're okay, and they're like, yeah. And she's looking forward. Let me ask. By the time the lights have come up, Virgil, are you still going to be lying there, or do you want to?
Virgil would probably like lay there for a second and be like, "Oh," and then start like slowly like getting up and starting to make his way towards his seat to try and like get any of his stuff together, and then like probably start making his way back towards the flight attendants.
So as you're getting up, a flight attendant comes up, and actually, Ellie, you can still see this. Flight attendant comes up, and she sort of helps you finish getting to your feet. She says, "Oh, sir, are you all right?"
Yeah, just what the hell's going on?
Oh, it looks like you took a bit of a fall there. Here, let me help you back to your seat.
Well, that's not going to be necessary, but...
Okay.
Everything going fine, or are you just going to...
It looks like we had a bit of a malfunction. We got to get the... Looks like some of the masks dropped down, but I think it's thus far, things are pretty much normal. We should be arriving soon. You do not feel any motion of the plane right now, by the way. No one does. It's like, and that sort of the sound of the plane is no longer happening. That's the one thing. It's quiet. Much more quiet than you would expect right now.
Melly wants to look out the window.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Melody wants to look out the window and see if there's anything, because she's about to get up and storm off to the cockpit, but is it still clouds outside, or?
There are still some clouds outside, but you're starting to see little shapes. It's more sort of little, yeah. It's weird because it's like you see something that it looks a little sort of weird geometric thing, but it looks like it's the tail of another plane.
And she's gonna take her seatbelt off and go up because she saw the steward go into the cockpit, and she's just gonna start knocking on the door.
Okay. You go up and you're knocking on the door.
She's like,
and nobody seems to be answering immediately.
and she'll jiggle at the door handle. She'll be like, "Hello."
So the door handle actually does seem to be stuck.
And she'll just start being like, "Hello, come on." Or she'll say "Jesus, can't we get any assistance back here? This plane is going crazy. I did not pay this much money to be on the red-eye flight in the middle of the night. I'm not even supposed to be here. I at least need a towel."
Let me ask briefly. Ellie is in a position to hear all of these things. What are you doing right now?
So I am doing some controlled breathing exercises and trying to, get back in control of the fear and stuff. And I'll go up and see what's going on because there's those rules where you can't go up by the cockpit anymore, and if no one's responding, then that makes me worried that something happened to the pilots.
Okay. So
especially since the over intercom thing was concerning enough.
Yeah. You head up, and you're coming up behind Melody as she is going on an epic rant.
Are they not there?
And she turns around and she's like, "Well, they're there. I mean, I watched them walk in there, but nobody's answering, and I've covered in wine." And I think Melody's just gonna start poking around. Usually they have up there, they have the station or whatever, and she's gonna start trying to open drawers and see if she can find a towel.
Yeah, you root around in there for a minute, and you find there's water. They've got bottled water up there, and they've got towels. So you find plenty of those.
And she's gonna take a bottle of water and chug it, and then she's gonna take another one and hold it back to Ellie and be like, "You need this? I need this."
Yeah, thanks. Is this? Can I use my exhaustion talent?
What would you like to do?
So my exhaustion talent is I'm really good at talking someone into doing something. So I'd like to talk them into opening the door from the inside.
Okay. So you are, so you're standing at the door, and you want to just sort of yell through the door and try to get them to open it.
Yeah, open the door and let us know what's going on.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is whenever you roll, you always roll with your discipline dice, which is 3, and your exhaustion dice, which I've set everyone starting out with 2 exhaustion. And you may use up to 6 dice of madness if you wish. That is completely optional. You may also, if you wish, increase your exhaustion by 1 before you roll, if you want more dice. You are looking for 1s, 2s, and 3s for success, but you also are have to look out for what's going to dominate. That's where you're going to find the pool with the most 6s, and that will flavor how things go, whether you succeed or not. You're going to be rolling against 2 pain dice for this.
Okay. So roll my discipline and then my exhaustion.
Yeah, you roll. Yeah, go ahead and roll your discipline first and your exhaustion and any madness you want to use.
I'm not gonna roll any madness.
Okay. I'm gonna roll pain. Okay. So, I got 1 success. You got 3 successes, but pain dominates. So, can you describe kind of how you're doing this?
So I'm using like my I'm a gold card business customer voice, and being like, excuse me, this is I just forgot my last name. This is Ellie Thompson. We just really need to know what's going on. Otherwise, people are going to start panicking back here like we clearly already are.
Okay. So there's a slight, as you're just sort of, are you touching the door at all when you do this, or are you just standing right next to it? What are you doing?
No, I'm knocking on it.
Knocking on it. Okay.
I might be standing like a little too close so that I can yell through it for them to hear me.
Yeah. So as you do this, there's a shift that everyone who is a PC feels in the plane as things drop down. Like maybe the plane dropped by like a foot or so, hard to say, but it's like a happens. And that happens on your final knock. The door springs open and hits you in the head.
Ow.
And when it does so, you realize why it is that they weren't opening the door.
Oh no.
Because in front of you is a brick wall.
That would do it.
Yeah, there is no cockpit. There is only a brick wall.
You're seeing this, right? It's not just me.
And Melody has taken out her notebook and she's like scribbling things down, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm seeing this." and she wants to go. She wants to go like look out the closest window again and see if it still looks like they're outside.
Okay. I'm going to come back to that in just a moment. Let's head once again to the back of the plane. And Joe and Virgil, what are you folks doing?
What is Joe doing? I think Joe followed the attendant over to Virgil, because at this point she doesn't trust the attendants or their judgment. Like it feels like they're not playing with full deck of cards anymore. Yeah,
I will say that the attendants at this point, there's is that the one who is actually moved up to one that you were talking to is moved up to business class at this point, and the other one that was in the back has come forward, and he is putting the masks back up into the ceiling. He's reaching over and just sort of chatting with the passengers and putting the masks up in the ceiling, and the passengers all look very pleasant right now.
I like eyeball him from the corner of my eye, and I approach Virgil. Are you alright?
Yeah, just elbow's a little sore, but besides that, so you're not just fine with all this like how everyone else is? Because everybody else seems, and I'm just gonna like look around, and everybody else is just not worried.
I put like my hand on my chest in like relief. Oh my god, I thought I was going crazy. There's something going on here, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what to do. The flight attendants don't seem to give a shit, and you're the only other person so far that is noticing that this is not normal.
Yeah,
Can I sit here?
Yeah. Go on.
I sit next to him in the vacant seat closest. Put for at least for the love of God, put your goddamn seatbelt on.
Yeah, I guess. And then I click it on, and I'm just gonna kind of tune out for a second and just try and like get myself not freaking out anymore, because Virgil is definitely not he's not fine in any means. So
Okay. So while you folks are kind of hanging out there, I will say Melody went to look out another window, and this time you go to the opposite side and look out, and you see a rooftop. It's a brick rooftop, and it's like you're looking down onto it. It's like there's at the edge of it there's a billboard you can see the back of, that's sort of put up, and so you see the sort of the old wooden sort of slats that they have to hold up a billboard, and next to it looks like the broken husk of another airplane. Looks like it's probably a much larger aircraft. Probably one of those aircrafts with with a couple of sevens in its name. And you see down, and you looking down onto this rooftop. You're apparently on a higher promontory, but looking down, you see what look like a bunch of kids. Maybe they're in their teens or tweens, sort of running around, and they're looking around, and they're starting to they're looking around cautiously, and they all just sort of, they're saying something, and then they run out of sight.
So the first thing she's going to do is kind of wave Ellie over
I will come look.
and point out the window, and she'd just be like,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah. Roof.
and does Ellie see the same thing?
Yep. Roof,
That's-
billboard, plane.
That's not great. That shouldn't be happening.
I don't think
kids-
this is Houston.
Couple kids now running along the top of the other plane, looking back and forth and jumping down the other side.
And since the plane is so quiet, I guess they can hear that there are still people in the back half of the plane, right?
Oh yeah, you can hear people talking in the back.
So Melody's gonna march back towards Coach
All right.
and probably see one of the stewardesses or stewards or
Yeah. As you're heading back, is Ellie following, or is Ellie staying up in first?
I'm gonna stay with the person who's seeing the same weird stuff I am.
Okay. As you enter business class, Ellie, you realize that the one other guy that was in business class with you that was asleep is nowhere to be seen. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just gonna take note of that. I guess I don't know how many people are back in Coach, but I can look for him back there.
So one of the as you're going past, there is a stewardess there, and she is putting masks back up into the ceiling.
And Melody's gonna stop her and like point and not touch her, but she's gonna point out the window. She's gonna point out the window. And she's gonna be like, "Have we landed? Where are we?"
No, doesn't look like we've landed just yet. Obviously, no, we should be landing soon. Everyone will be able to disembark soon.
And
I think I overhear Melody talking to the attendant because I mean, it's an airplane, so. And I like smack Virgil in the shoulder and look over at you. Did you hear that? There's some. Open the window. Open the window.
Just like reach over and open it up and look out.
Yeah. By the way, Ellie, were you continuing past them to past Melody? Ellie, were you continuing past Melody to coach, or?
Yeah, I'm looking for the dude who is in business class with me. Like, I'll check and see if the light that someone's in the bathroom's on. If I don't see him immediately. Okay.
As you head into business class, out into coach, you see the older gentleman who ended up on the floor. There's now another passenger sitting next to him and urging him to open the window and look out. As you're heading toward the back, you don't. And you continue heading toward the back to check that out. There's a steward in here who's like just finishing up putting the last mask up into the ceiling. And is going to ask, "Is there anything I can help you with, miss?"
My guy sitting next to me seems to have disappeared.
Oh, and you just come, and while that conversation is going on, he's gonna ask you, like, we were in business class?
Yep.
I didn't think we had anyone else in business class. He goes and he looks around, and as that's going on, Virgil has opened the window. Yeah, you see, it's very foggy out on. All right, I'm gonna have to start orienting a little bit better this time. Melody and Ellie saw the rooftop off the right side of the plane. Are Virgil and Joe sitting on the left or the right?
I think we're on the left. Because why not?
Okay. Virgil, you open the... let's do this now. You open the...
It's unnerving.
Nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. So, you open the window, and you're looking down quite a ways. There is sort of off to one side. You look down, you see that there's a cityscape beneath you. It is very odd. It is underneath a moonlit sky, where the moon is a crescent, and a heavy cover of clouds around, but not complete, obviously, since the moon's coming down. It's not a city you recognize. Also, the buildings all seem to be from different periods, from what you can tell. It is nighttime, like the dead of night, which, is not unexpected, but it should be like around, 4 a.m. about now. As you're looking out, you see it's like you can see streets and cars going by. You can't see people too well, but you think you see people moving around down there, way down there. It's like you're not sure where the plane is exactly, but it's somewhere above the city, sitting somewhere. And it looks like you're looking down on maybe a business district. Trucks. There's a couple of things you see. You see you're a building, billboards, a lot of billboards around here. Looking across, actually, you see almost like, first thing, the nearest thing that's weird that you see 3 weird things. The first one that's nearest is off on another rooftop. It looks like there's a plane, like an old biplane has like crashed into that roof. And then there's the tail of another plane next to it that looks like it's from maybe the, you want to say the 30s or 40s? And that's the first weird thing. Going beyond that, and obviously Joe can see this too, we're both looking out the window. There are like large buildings, but there is what looks like perhaps it's an office building, perhaps it's a factory. It's a little weird, but there's a large T on a sign above it that's lit up, or it looks like a T. The end is the bottom of the T is pointed, and then above everything, in the middle of the city, you see a clock tower, and the clock says what should be, it says about 4 a.m., 4:15. Well, 4:15, there's no a.m. or p.m. on this clock. Sort of Big Ben looking. But it has 13 numbers. It goes from 1 to 13 around the clock.
What
And
the
it's in
hell?
A giant square. Giant city square.
Yeah, I don't think this is where we're supposed to be.
I think we're going to take a break there. Because I think that's a good line that we can pause on. And we're about at the halfway mark, roughly-ish. So if everyone's okay with it, I'm going to go ahead and call break real quick. We'll take a break for 5-10 minutes or so. And we will be back and see what everyone is going to do. Take care, folks, and we shall see you shortly. Greetings, we are back, and we are getting ready to dive in. As what just happened is that they got their first look at the Mad City. On the one side, there is a rooftop with some very concerned-looking group of children running around amongst a number of other planes that appear to be up here. And on the other side is a nice vista out into the city and what looks like the business district and the clock tower at the center. And that is where we are. So that revelation happened in the in coach as there are sounds of distant barking outside. It seems as though
Wild
there's
dogs!
strange wild animals are out there of some kind on the roof, which they very well might be. But for Melody and Ellie, I'd like you to remind me what it is you were last doing before we went to break. I think someone was heading in toward the back, yes?
I believe Ellie was heading towards the back and Melody was berating a stewardess.
Excellent. Okay. So, I'm gonna... Alright, yeah, I'm gonna start briefly with Ellie, and I'm gonna cut back to Melody after that, but just so we can... timelines! Yay! So, Ellie, you get to the rear of the plane, and no one is in the bathroom. The light is off, and there's no one in there. You open the door, it's just a bathroom. Also, both of the flight attendants have finished putting the masks back, and they are coming around just asking people if they need anything.
So there's the 4 of us and the 2 flight attendants. Is there anyone else on the plane?
There are about half a dozen people in coach. And
Okay.
That's it.
So it's not like everyone disappeared.
Nope, just the guy who was asleep.
Well, I'm gonna go back up to Melody and say, this guy that was in coach with me, or in business class with me, he disappeared. I can't find him on the plane. Maybe he already got off?
Yeah, as you're heading up, you will see that Melody has been berating the stewardess. What are you telling her? What are you telling her at this point, as this is happening?
She's probably just she's just being like, you don't see that, like, this has not been a normal flight, like, why don't you understand, like...
Yeah, she has no idea what you're talking about, but she asks you to just, if you would sit down and be calm, then everything will be all right, and we'll be at our destination soon. And Ellie comes up and asks her a question.
I definitely can't find the other guy who was in business class with me, and they say there wasn't anyone on the flight, but I know I saw him. I'm not crazy.
And are you saying this to Melody or to the stewardess?
I'm saying it to Melody, but I'm saying it in an accusing tone towards the stewardess. I'm not acknowledging that she's there.
Yeah, the stewardess is just sort of looking around. She's like, there wasn't anyone else here in business, I'm afraid.
And because I want to make excuses to do this, Melody is going to kind of grab the stewardess's arm and wants to use her madness.
Excellent. What do you want to do?
Which she's had since, like, she was a little kid. So this is, like, she knows that she's doing what she's doing.
Okay. What you doing to her?
So Melody's madness is that she can... Sorry. I'm pulling up. Roll20. Is that when she, like, touches a person or, like, a strongly sentimental object, she can feel how they're feeling.
Okay.
Or can, like, an object, she can sense, like, a feeling that was tied to it. So if, like, something bad happened with, you know, like, a murder weapon, she could sense that there was, like...
Okay, so How much information are you wanting to get out of her?
So she's basically just trying to see, like, is this stewardess, like, legitimately, like, calm? Is she fucking with her? Like,
Okay, so just basic surface ideas.
Yeah.
At this point.
I think of it as something that kind of, like, levels up, so if it's, like, a really strong feeling, then she would get more information. But if it's just kind of like a...
Okay. So I think that's gonna require, just as far as basic, are you messing with me? Then that's just gonna. I think you'll only need to roll one madness dice, but you of course may roll up to 6 if you wish. You're just gonna be rolling against a pain of 1 for this.
Okay, so just... Oh. Okay, so I rolled the madness dice.
Okay.
And is that it?
And you also roll your discipline and your exhaustion. You may increase your exhaustion before you roll if you wish.
No.
Okay. And I'm gonna roll my pain die. Alright, I got 1 success, you got 2 successes. So you are gonna get some information. Also, it looks as though exhaustion dominates. So, first thing is that as you just sort of like it's a little frustrating trying to pick up on her thoughts because it's a little weird. It's like there's normally when you do this with a person, there seems to be more person there. This is not the usual amount of person that's here. As with, like, just a regular human being, regardless of their intelligence. This is, it's like there's a lot missing. She seems like she's just trying to do her job and has no idea what you're talking about. She thinks that you're just kind of high-strung and is in customer service mode.
But she feels kind of wrong somehow. Like there's something here, or something not here.
Yeah, and it is a little bit weird because, well, I don't know if you would have. Are you the type of person who would have just sort of chatted idly with any of these folks, or flight attendants or strangers?
Probably not.
Okay, so yeah, it's basically nothing much there as far as that goes. I will ask Ellie the same question. Are you the sort of person who would have chatted with the flight attendants before the planes got on, or during the time when the flight was going on?
Like enough to be like polite, like thank you,
Okay.
have a nice day, but not like about themselves. No.
Okay. Yeah, no. So, as far as both of you can tell, she's not really behaving really much differently from, the way she was before the plane crashed. But, yeah, Melody definitely does sense that it's like they're not all there.
Her hand's gonna come away and she's gonna kind of shake it and look this woman up and down, and then...
As you do that, by the way, because exhaustion dominates, even just doing that and that weird just sort of little rabbit hole you went down trying to figure out what was wrong with her, you're starting to feel a little more tired. So please increase your exhaustion by 1.
Okay. I imagine, like, Melody was probably trying really hard to figure out past this lack of thing. She was kind of searching around or something, and that hurt her out.
Go for it.
Yeah, so she's just gonna kind of shake her hand and back away and kind of just stop, disengage from.
I'm gonna go real quick back to Coach for a moment as that's going on. So Joe and Virgil have looked out the window and they've seen the Mad City. What are they doing?
Virgil's just gonna kind of be like, I don't think we're supposed to be here, and look over to Joe and Like, do you know anything about this?
That's not Houston, that's all I know.
Yeah, should we maybe talk to somebody about this?
They don't know shit. I have asked them about 100 questions, and they're acting like nothing's wrong.
As far as the two of you can tell, the only folks who seem to be trying to react to anything that's going on are the two ladies currently standing up in business class.
I'm gonna lean down, like crane my neck into the aisle, over and look towards Melody and Ellie, and do like a, psst, hey, you two, come here.
Yeah, you see this.
And Melody is gonna kind of look and then just go over there.
So yeah, when you get over, I look in between you and Virgil. What the fuck is going on?
And Melody's gonna respond, wait, you are seeing this stuff too?
Yes,
Unlike
look
everyone.
out the window.
And she's like, I have looked out the window.
No, look, did you see the city?
And she looks out that window and she's like, well, I hadn't seen that much of it, but I knew that something was weird because it looks the same. It looks very similarly odd out that window. She points to the other side of the plane.
I'm gonna leap up, rush to the other side, pull open the blind,
Okay.
peek out, see the planes and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, you look out, you see that actually as you're doing this, from closer up, from business class, you start to hear a thudding. Sort of a thudding kind of, not exactly a knocking sound, but it's something like, yeah, on the, like something's sort of beating a little bit, not, or hitting the side of the plane. Not like, dramatically, but...
Yeah.
Plus, the pilot's not there anymore. There's a brick wall between us and the cockpit.
Wait, the pilot isn't there?
Well, I mean, unless he's on the other side of the brick wall. But there's no cockpit. It's a wall.
Look, okay, so what we know is we're now on top of a city, and there's no longer a cockpit.
Are they, does it look like are they, landed on the ground? Or on another building,
As far as you can tell from your perspective, you can't see exactly what the plane is sitting on, but it would probably be like another rooftop that's very close to the other rooftop that you're looking down on.
Okay.
And you can hear some rattling now coming from from somewhere in business class.
I'm gonna peek my head around the corner, look into business class.
As far as you can tell, it's coming from the right-hand wall, about where the emergency exit is.
I'm gonna turn my head back around to Melody and Virgil. There's knocking coming from.
Melody looks at them and she's like, well, we're landed. We're not moving. This isn't Houston. So I feel like the only way we can go is out.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's probably true.
Is there another emergency exit in coach, or is there just the ones in business class?
This is a small plane, so I think...
Probably just the one.
Yeah.
Everybody in coach dies.
That's what you get for buying the cheap seats.
Melody's gonna go back towards business class and look out a window near the exit before she does something stupid. She's gonna check and make sure that she just can't see anything outside.
I'm gonna like tiptoe behind Melody, and like try to get a sneaky peek out the window of the emergency exit, because I'm afraid to know what's on the other side.
Okay. So, Melody heads over and she's trying to get past a couple of people who are like, as Joe comes around, is actually going to get a more clear shot to the emergency exit first. It's not that far from Coach. It's pretty close. You pull back to see, and there's a face staring back at you from outside. And looks like it's a kid, maybe about like 10 years old or so, wearing a cap and just sort of looking in at you like this, sort of pretty face. When you open it, you're just like, yeah, just sort of like, and seems to move back and forth a bit. Melody, as you open an adjacent window and you look out, you see what looks like two urchins dressed in sort of street clothes, one sitting atop the shoulders of the other, and the one on top has a crowbar in their hand. They're lifting up now because looks like they were trying to get the door open. They're standing on a ramp, a metal ramp that goes down. It's made of just a bunch of welded together sheets. From this roof down to that other roof you were looking down on. And it's pretty wide. It's not like it's just a single thing. They somehow knew to make a ramp right to this door. No, it's like a roof extension thing.
When I see this kid's face, I'm gonna call back towards the rest of the group. You guys, there's people outside. And I'm gonna swing open, or I don't even know how the hell you open an emergency exit, but I'm going to do that.
There are instructions written on the door. So, as you do this, no one seems to care that you're doing this. But you turn the handle, and the kid sees you, and as they sway back, you see that she's sitting on the shoulders of another kid. You open the door; it opens outward. You can see onto this rooftop now, and you see this metal sort of going by, and the one kid just sort of hops down off the shoulders of the other kid, and she just sort of looks up at you and is just sort of like, anyone else awake in there?
Well, I mean, hold on. Where are we? Who are you?
We don't have time. We gotta go. Is there anything good in there?
No. Peanuts, pretzels.
Ooh, we'll take that. And the two of them start coming up like they're gonna try to get past you. Are you gonna let them past?
Yeah, I'm completely flabbergasted.
Okay, so everyone sees two ragamuffins enter the plane. And they proceed to run to the little cart area at the back and begin looting it.
Do the flight attendants seem to care?
They don't. They're like, oh, look at that. They seem amused, but so they kind of notice them, but it's like, oh man, and but they don't seem to register that they're not supposed to be here.
So I definitely think that Virgil's gonna kind of see these two kids run in and just look back at Joe and be like, point at them and just be like, what?
I don't know, but I don't know if we're in a position to be asking a lot of questions right now. They seem to know what's going on. I sure as fuck don't.
And
yeah, go ahead.
And Melody's gonna say to them, she's like, but maybe they know what, and she's like, you're right, maybe they know what's going on. So maybe we should stop them and ask some questions.
I think they want us to go with them. They said something about us not having a lot of time. They asked if anyone in here is awake, which, I mean, we're all awake, but it just seems to be that some of us are a little more awake than others. And I gesture towards the attendants and the way too chill other passengers.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'm gonna like kind of start walking over to where the kids are looting the place. I'm gonna be like, excuse me, you two?
And so they finish the little girl has like a bunch of peanuts that she's put in a bundle that she's starting to carry out. And she says, "No time, gotta go."
But you had time for that?
They're peanuts. And she turns and she starts heading toward business class. The boy, who looks a little bit older, he looks like he might be about 13, is essentially grabbing a bunch of bottled water and some cans of soda and stuff, and is just sort of picking up tossing them in his knapsack, and as this is going on, so he's still back there.
So, hold up. So you can't even tell us while you're grabbing things what's going on?
The kid looks up. The older kid looks up. He says, "No time. They're coming. We got to get out of here. If you folks want to come, that's fine. You don't want to be here when they get here." And he finishes putting the stuff into the pack, and he slings it over his back, and he starts heading toward business class.
All right. Well, Virgil's obviously going to follow them.
Okay. What's everybody else doing?
I'm gonna follow Virgil because he is the first person that I talked to that I realized, that we both realized at the same time that we weren't experiencing some crazy hallucination. So I have just this sort of baked in, very tenuous level of trust with Virgil, so I'm gonna follow him.
Okay.
And Melody is intrigued right now, but she's gonna try, if our lovely GM will permit the time, she's gonna kind of sprint back up to first class and grab her messenger bag with her tape recorders and all of her stuff for her.
Yeah, you got it.
Writing and investigating, and run back and follow the kids out the door. But I imagine if everybody ends up following, she'll probably be the last, kind of picking up.
It took a second for it took a few seconds for the kids to go back there and raid the back. So you actually have time to do that.
Okay.
What's Ellie doing?
I'm gonna go get my stuff and then especially make sure I grab some more alcohol from the cart, because this is really stressful.
And when Melody sees her do this, she'll be like,
Yeah. For some reason, the kids didn't think to take any of the alcohol, but anyway.
Yeah.
As you are heading back, Melody, you do see the kids as they are leaving the plane, and you didn't have time to see this before, but the older kid, who, like I said, he looks like he's about 13, and he's kind of, all dirty and stuff, but he actually looks kind of like your brother.
and she's just gonna shake it off, but she's gonna watch him because she doesn't understand how that would be possible.
Okay. So yeah, it's sort of basically you're heading out. So you're following these kids. They're running down this ramp pretty quickly, and at this point, as you're doing so, you can hear this sound of just sort of metal on stone, where in this sort of clacking noise as you get down to the you get down to this wider roof. You see around you there is a it's like an airplane graveyard up here. There are planes from seemingly like every era that it's looked like they have all crashed on this roof in some way or another. And you hear these things approaching. The two kids that are in front, they're like, "Oh," and they start booking it to the tail end of a very large, what looks like that very large plane with the sevens in it, that they start heading toward. And you can hear something from the opposite side, like near where the billboards are. You can see as you're looking out, it looks like these roofs are close enough that they connect with like a bunch of other roofs. They're like either there's like they're right next to each other, or they're like just like metal frames that have been put up for like construction that are connecting them back and forth, or there are ducts connecting them back and forth strangely all over the place. It's very weird. What are you folks doing?
Is Ellie the only one that hears that, or do we all hear?
Yeah, everyone hears the sound of something coming, but you have a moment if you want to do anything else in this area, or if you're just following the kids, or if you're doing something else. I just wanted to know.
Melody's going to turn on her tape recorder.
Okay.
But that's it. She'll probably just keep following the kids because she wants to follow this kid who looks like her brother.
Okay.
What does the sound of something coming sound like?
It's a very philosophical question. I would say that, well, it's almost,
Is it like heavy footfalls? Does it sound like a clawed creature, with the claws clanking along some metallic surface? Or
maybe it sounds actually more like someone is setting something with metal moving parts on it down, but it's not heavy, right? It's not a clunking sound so much as a clattering of something drawing closer, and it sounds like it's coming from multiple directions, mostly from the billboards, but just sort of across that whole section.
I'm super unnerved by this because I'm trying to my brain's trying to process what I'm hearing and connect it to something in the real world, and I can't do it. So
Well,
I'm gonna
sound like something familiar. It does, but there's also and you hear paper rustling as well, and just behind it, a little softly, but as it's everyone can hear this sort of sound of rustling paper.
I think I'm gonna. Oh, okay. So I think that my first instinct is to run, but there's the curious part of me, and the part of me that wants more information.
Okay.
So I'm gonna stop, face a direction where I can hear some of these sounds, pull up my phone, and just start recording.
Okay. What are Ellie and Virgil doing?
I know Virgil's gonna hear that and be like, there's something, and I definitely don't want to know what that is, and start following the kids.
Okay. Virgil's following the kids. What's Ellie doing?
You are muted.
Ellie is muted.
I am going to just follow the kids too. Yeah, I don't think there's anything here that I want to grab. I am wondering if there's a Bermuda Triangle somewhere near Houston, but for now, I'm just getting away from the sound.
Okay. So Joe will see. It will probably be the main person to see this, as the rest of you are heading toward the back, rounding the back of the big plane. this these things coming, and what you're seeing are these. You hear this sort of clattering and clacking, and you realize that they're bicycles. As you see this cresting the side of that building by the billboards, you see about half a dozen. They look, well, like about the shape of kids on bikes, but it's like someone went nuts with paper mache and didn't bother to paint it or anything. It's just a bunch of newspaper-shaped children on bikes that erupt from the side of this building and are careening toward everyone.
When you say careening, you mean like they have seen us and they are now coming for us?
They don't have eyes, so it's hard to tell, but they seem to be aiming. Yeah, one of them's pointing at you, and they seem to turn and they're like making a beeline for you.
Do they look pissed off? Can I ascertain their mood?
Do not have faces, but they do seem rather, from their motions, they seem rather harried, as though they're on some kind of mission.
Well,
Do they look like the thing that I saw in the sky?
No, not quite. There are certain stylistic elements of their bicycles that is kind of would be maybe of that realm, but that's as close a connection as you can draw.
Running seems like a great idea.
Okay. There is running happening.
yeah, when I see these things and I get enough of a good look to like trust my eyes, because at first I'm like, no, it's just gotta be the lack of sleep, which it is. But I'm thinking like, no, it's just my eyes, my eyes playing tricks on me. So once I've passed that state of denial, which happens like in a matter of seconds, I start to freak the fuck out and I turn around and I start making a beeline, this like frantic sprint towards where I saw everybody else going.
Okay. Now, Ellie and Virgil, I'm presuming, since they didn't stop to look at this, are going to be a bit ahead. And what you will see as you got, they run down these wooden planks onto another roof, and there is a and it's weird because there are a bunch of there are doors and windows up here that looks like there's some sort of it's a little weird because this roof has a greenhouse on it, and there's like but there are like several doors leading into the greenhouse, more than there should be, and some of them look like they're like there's a wooden door, and then there's like a metal door like right next to it, and then there's a glass door of the type that you would open to get into the greenhouse. The two kids are heading toward these three doors. As you do this, you do note that there is you hear this sort of Ellie and Virgil hear this sort of buzzing from below you, as though just someone's turned on some kind of powerful generator. They're just sort of looking around and heading toward the one of these three doors, which they're probably going to reach in a moment. First, however, I will briefly, going back to Joe and Melody, you two are. This is the running away from the Paperboys role, and
The paper boys.
Who wishes to be to take the lead on this roll?
Melody isn't actually much of a running awayer. So
Joe, then I'm thinking will take the lead on this roll. So
Yeah.
it's going to be Joe's roll. Melody may assist, using only her discipline dice. This is going to be a pain of. Right now, they've just spotted you. This is going to be a pain of 4 that you're going to be rolling against. So. Joe, again, you may, if you wish, voluntarily increase your exhaustion before you roll. You're rolling your discipline and your exhaustion. You may also roll madness up to 6 dice if you wish.
So if I choose to increase my exhaustion, that gives me extra to roll for discipline? Is that what that is? Is that how that works?
You roll extra exhaustion dice if you increase your exhaustion by 1. So you go in and you up your exhaustion by 1 die, and then you roll that.
I think I will do that.
Okay.
So I increase my exhaustion from 2 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know what these things are, so I am super eager to get the fuck out of Dodge. But also the stress of the situation is really starting to take a toll. All right, so discipline, exhaustion. Oh shit.
And did you want to roll any madness dice or no?
If I do, then I increase the madness, right?
Only if you, well, depending on if madness. Oh no, you don't need necessarily. It just you might check off a response if that dominates.
I have 0 madness right now.
No, you don't have to. You can voluntarily roll 1 to 6 dice of madness anytime you roll.
Sure. Number of dice, 1.
And I'm rolling pain. Okay, I got 1 success. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 successes. So you are going to outrun them. Let's see, I got 6 and a 4. Exhaustion, a 6 and a 5. Okay, so exhaustion's going to dominate. So you hightail it off of that roof and back around following the others. You catch up with the others, but you are very winded. You're both very tired from the result, so you both are going to increase your exhaustion by 1. Yes, even if you increased it before, you're increasing it again.
Now I am at exhaustion of 4.
Yes.
Seems like a lot.
Yes, it does. So you're on this other roof as you're getting there, and you can see the 2 kids run to the wooden door in the middle. They open it up and dive through. And what are the rest of you doing?
I'm gonna kind of before jumping through the door, kind of wait and make sure that Joe and Melody make it there.
Okay.
And then jump through once I deem that they're close enough. So within 5 feet or so.
Yeah. They do. They are getting there. Ellie, or what are you doing?
I'm following them through the door immediately.
Okay. So you immediately race through the door. Virgil, you see Joe and Melody, and as you see them coming, as they're within 5 feet or so, they're gonna make it. But you also see these children made of paper riding bikes come leaping over the giant plane, and they're riding up the side of it, and they're heading down the wing toward you. As you dive through the door, presumably.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And the rest of you also dive through the door, presumably, I'm guessing. So, as you do this, you see that you are in another room entirely. What kind of room? Jim is going to decide by looking at a random card. Oh, this is more interesting. So you burst through the door, and it looks as though you are running. It opens up onto a catwalk, which is weird because that's not inside the greenhouse. You were able to see into the greenhouse. There's no catwalk inside the greenhouse, but you are running along a catwalk that appears to be up high up in a warehouse of some kind. You're looking down into this big warehouse that looks kind of dim below. You can't really even see the floor fully. There's light filtering in from large windows that are very very dirty windows. Do you all close the door behind you, or do you just keep running?
Go ahead.
No, I guess I'm too far in. I wouldn't be doing anything. I'm just running.
Just keep running.
I would definitely be closing the door.
Okay. So as you do this and you keep running, and as you're sort of heading through, you see the kids up ahead of you, and you can hear this same clattering sound of the bikes just on the outside. The windows you can't really see through, but off to your right, there are that are pretty close, like the ones on the opposite side where the light's filtering down. You can hear these. You can hear the sounds of these bikes circling around, and it sounds like there are more of them coming. And you almost can kind of see outlines of things that look like people on bikes out there as you're racing. The kids run down a couple of steps and head along a second catwalk that appeers to be headed toward a wall with a large metal door with a sort of a window in it that, or sort of like a speakeasy type window, basically, that they're starting to bolt toward. As they do so, that door opens, and there are a couple more paper boys just sort of just up there, they're on foot, and they start running in. And so the kids change direction and they start heading down some stairs. And are you continuing to follow? What are you doing?
I feel like that's kind of the only option right now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've decided that these kids are afraid of this thing, and so we're afraid of this thing, and so the kids know where they're going. So presumably, that's our best course of action.
Okay.
What's in this room?
It is a
before we go down these stairs.
It is a catwalk that stretches across the top of a large warehouse. It looks like there are several. They look like large machines down there, and a lot of crates, and a lot of things covered with big sheets. So it looks like it looks like it has nothing down there has been used for quite a while.
Are the machines, do they look like they can be moved, or are they like attached to the ground or wall or
These
something?
are big freaking machines. So we're talking like, industrial furnace sized type. Type thing.
Are they bolted? Are they bolted or attached somehow? Are they just sitting there?
As you get closer down, you see that they're on. They have the little feet that things like these sometimes have. So they're not. It looks like they're probably not bolted down. Some of them, at least.
I think as I'm bringing up the rear with Melody, I'm going to breathlessly look at you and say, I don't know how long we can keep running. We have to do something. And I'm going to try to use my madness talent. It's just this instinctual thing that just washes over me. Never done it before. I have no idea what the fuck is even going on. And I am going to try to possess the building that we're in.
Okay.
So what it will look like is I start to try to I basically just start to melt into the floor, into this human puddle, and just sink completely into the floor.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you attempting to possess the entire building?
Yes.
Or just things that are inside?
I'm trying to possess the entire building because I don't know any better.
Okay. So second question. Will this extend to things like the machines and the crates, or just the structure of the building itself?
I think just the structure, so the floor, ceiling, walls, doors, windows, that kind of stuff.
This is a very large thing that you are attempting to possess. An entire building, a warehouse. So I think this is gonna need 5 madness dice for this level of possession. So you're gonna be rolling against a pain of, given whose territory it is, well, it's kind of in the middle. You're gonna be rolling against a pain of 5.
So to do this, I roll the madness dice. 4, you said, right?
You're gonna have to roll at least 4 madness dice. You can roll up to 6 if you wish. Again, you have the option of increasing your exhaustion before your roll if you want, but you're also gonna be rolling discipline and exhaustion.
Okay, I'm not gonna exhaust. I'm not gonna. Well, fuck it. It's a one shot. I'm gonna use another point of exhaustion. So that brings me to a 4 to a 5, right? Yeah, because I pump it up one more.
Yeah, you're at 4, so yeah, 5 exhaustion.
All right, so let's go ahead and click on some things here.
All right. Let's make time to roll pain. All right. Oh, it's a tie.
Oh no!
Wasn't that supposed to be 5 exhaustion dice?
Did you roll? Oh yeah, that's right. You only rolled 2. So yeah, you need to roll 3 more exhaustion dice.
Okay,
so you could
I don't think the macro is working right. So
yeah, you can just, if you want, I'll go in and I'll go in and take care of it. But if you want,
no, it's fine.
Okay.
But just as like a heads up for future rolls. So so I get 5, so I need to roll 3 more. Okay, so 3d6.
Okay.
Hot diggity damn!
That was 2d6.
I thought I typed a 3. God darn it!
Okay.
Didn't make a difference.
Well, I think we know what dominates. So here's what happens.
This is the problem.
Yeah.
Because that was exhaustion, right?
So that's going to increase your exhaustion by 1. So that's going to put you up to 6, I believe. Yeah. So you're not going to crash yet, but going above 6 is going to cause that. But let's see. We have 1, 2. I had 4 successes. You had 2, 3, 4 successes. Still a tie. But that is gonna go to you just barely in success. However, exhaustion dominates. So, yeah, Joe melts into the floor, and the whole building shakes a bit as you folks are heading down, following these kids who are running down these stairs. I guess, Joe, what would you like to do now that you are a warehouse?
So now that I am a warehouse, what I want to do is this allows me to feel the things like in the warehouse. Mm-hmm. So there's just like a whole shit ton of like sensory input now.
Yes.
Where I can feel like everything. I can feel these bicycle people running and moving along. I can feel the kids running along. So my just instinctual, pure adrenaline instinct is to start closing off windows and doorways to stop the paper boys from following us, and to open up passageways that are safe for the kids and the rest of the gang to follow through.
Okay. So, strangely, remarkably, and the kids have run across to an internal office on the edge of the warehouse. As the now 3 of you bolt through that door, the door just slams shut automatically behind you and locks. And you can hear some of the catwalks just sort of twisting and moving around a little bit to divert the two paper boys that came in. Similarly, the outside doors are shutting. And there is the three of you are in this office. You see the kids just sort of looking around, and then they head down another set of stairs that are actually in the office, because it looks like they're trying to head for the exit. Now, at the entrance, which this door are first off, Joe, are you leaving the front door open, or are you closing the front door? It's a sort of big sliding door.
If it cuts the paper boys off at the pass, I'll close it. If it lets the kids run through, then I'll open it.
There is someone down there. You can see kind of, you can perceive outside the building. There are no paper boys down there, but there is an individual approaching the front door.
I think I'd leave it open then, because I wouldn't know any better.
Okay. So the kids come down to the edge of this, come down to the end of the staircase, and the three of you are very close behind as this is happening, and just beyond, they're starting to bolt out toward this open sliding door that looks like the front of the warehouse, big door, and someone steps into view. And the individual that steps into view is wearing a very brightly colored jacket and trousers and vest and a bowler hat, and his face looks like a wheel, kind of like a roulette wheel almost, but more of a wheel of chance, spinning wheel. Not spinning wheel, you know, that you spin and the little numbers tick on it. You suddenly note where that feeling of something being turned on came from, because his gloved hands are crackling with electricity. And as you see him enter the doorway, he just sort of looks up and says, "Ah, excellent. It seems that they've brought us something delightful. I trust you had a good flight."
Particularly.
I think Melody's gonna just look at it, and just be like, "Who the fuck are you?"
He said, so people are so polite these days. I am the lottery. And you see that they raise their hat and put it back down on their head. I think that it's always nice when there are folks who are awake that have a desire to play our games. I believe well, you can't really see them looking, but just sort of the way the head is pointed kind of at all of you. I believe Mr. Jackson has an offer on the table that was made, and one wonders if he wishes to accept or decline.
Accept or decline what?
You said that it would be a parent who you were talking about.
Ah, very good. Yes, very good indeed. And the voice sounds a little bit different, but it sounds like that it probably is the same person who was putting on a voice when doing the announcing. Allow me to illustrate. And you see that. Let's see. He pulls out a pocket watch, clicks a couple of buttons on it, and projected above it, you see an image of your son. And it looks as though he's wandering around. He's wandering down an alley somewhere. He's sort of looking around, confused.
You said that the suspect was going to be a parent. Who is that?
And it he clicks a couple of buttons on it, and he says, "Ah, well, potential suspects. We have to give them someone." And his hands again crackling with electricity, gestures to Ellie and Melody.
Wait, what? I haven't done anything.
Oh, didn't you see the papers? There's a need for suspects. They've printed a headline. The dear sweet paper boys. They printed a headline for us that someone has to pay for it. The kidnapping. They, of course, they're willing to be somewhat lenient about the specifics of the identities of the suspects, but in the end, a frame can be moved to wherever you like, but one of them certainly, at least, is the kidnapper. Or will be.
So you're wanting me to choose between my son and one of the two of them?
Got it in one. Of course, there is another option. You could always play the game. We could make it a bit of a gamble.
Well, I'd like to hear some more about this.
Well, it's quite simple. A number of things could happen. But it's just a question of what number you want to bet on, and should you win, then you will we'll send you right back to one of the cities slumbering. All of you, along with your son. But if the house wins, we get everyone.
Seems like that would be the ending anyways. Let's go.
Excellent.
Doesn't the house always win?
Some want to believe it and some don't. Well then. He snaps his fingers, And I think actually, there's a betting table appears, and where you can place, where it looks like you would place various sort of chips on top of different numbers. And I am curious. It's of course, obviously, he's aiming this at Virgil, but just sort of is looking around, and he says, "Of course, if anyone else has a counter offer, then I'd be most delighted to hear it."
I don't think Melody can think of anything. She's so confused. She's just like, doesn't understand why someone might be thinking that she might kidnap someone, or...
Yeah, that one is a little strange. You could always ask for clarification if you wish.
She might just say, like, before we, like, she might just stop everybody. Like, basically, she might, like, stand in between the two of them, like, assert herself physically. And be like, before we start playing any games, how about you give us some more information about the rules? And she's like, how did we even get here? And, you know, what are you accusing me and this other woman of?
Ah, I see. Well, the way that they make their headlines, it's quite fascinating. It's they're always headlines that have yet to come to pass. They wanted to print a headline about the Awakened, and my employers found that they could use some new nightmares. And so it's recruitment time, you see. However, there is a definite possibility. You all have quite a lot of potential as candidates. Quite a lot, he says to the rafters. And as a result, you're passing through an area where it's, shall we say, easy to transition into the Mad City. And thus you are here.
I think in the middle of this conversation, like, the building starts to rumble, faintly, and then it starts to shake, like, it just increases in intensity, and, like, some of, like, the shingles start to come off the roof, or, like, you know, loose chips of paint start to fall off the walls, and eventually there's, like, this sudden, like, jolt in the building, and Joe falls out of the ceiling and onto the lottery.
Okay.
And she's covered completely in sweat. Like, it looks like she just got out of a pool.
Okay, so that is in the process of happening. So there's the rumbling and everything going on. I do want to ask, first off, what is Ellie doing in all this? How is she reacting?
Ellie is pretty upset because this shouldn't be happening, and she's mostly looking for a way out. So her technique mostly depends on how the game's gonna get played, I think.
Okay. So now, as paint is starting to fall off the walls, and you can see a couple of shingles have started, he's sort of rocking back and forth a little bit, and the lottery says, "No, we'd best hurry. It seems this building has got a bit of unrest about it." I tell you what, everyone can play if they wish. We'll make it an individual thing. Someone, perhaps, will stay. Someone will go. Depends on how much you want to bet. Now, let's see the result of... just before Joe falls from the ceiling. I am curious to know how Virgil seems to be reacting to this game. Are you already running up to put a number down, or what are you doing?
No, I'm just sitting there. Like, I walked up to the table, and I'm just kind of sitting there looking at it and trying to make a decision.
Okay. Yeah, there are several numbers. It looks a lot like, your standard roulette setup. But the interesting thing is there aren't any chips. So that's like an additional piece of it's weird because sort of like in dreams where you half know something, you get the feeling as though if you were to reach forward and think of something that's worth value and you can split up, like a memory or a feeling, you could turn that into a chip and place it on a number. It would take a lot to cover all the numbers, and you're not sure how much of you would be left, but if you wanted to, you could try doing that. Now that said, Joe is about to fall from the ceiling. Tell me, you are aiming for the lottery. So presumably you are trying to do damage to the lottery. Is this?
I think it's less aiming. It's just that's where she's popped out from.
Okay, so you're not necessarily trying to smash into the lottery and disrupt them.
Right.
Let's say. All right. I would like to find out, however, if the lottery is disrupted. So, what I'm going to do is I am going to call for a roll.
All right.
And you're going to be rolling. The lottery is a minor nightmare, and he's trying to make a deal with you folks. And it is in District 13, or just outside it, actually. So yeah, I'm going to call for it's going to be 6 pain is what you're going to be rolling against. Because
Jeez Louise.
It is a nightmare.
So I can choose to roll extra madness dice up to 6.
You can. You're going to be rolling your full discipline and your full exhaustion.
Okay.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. We didn't go in and fix that yet.
Oh, God, get out of the way. Okay. All right. Roll 4d6.
Okay. Your exhaustion is 6 right now, right?
Yep. Bye.
Okay. All right. Let's see. So that's what's been rolled there, and I'm gonna roll some pain. All right. 2 successes. You got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 successes. But pain dominates, which means I get a coin of despair, which I can use to affect a later roll. So what happens is you fall down and you smack right into him, and you see that the lottery is distracted, and for a moment just sort of stumbles, turns away from the table, but he does manage to get hold of you, catch you as you're falling. So it's like a sort of a thing where it sort of spins around and is stumbling around for a moment. Electricity is coursing up and down from his hands, so you are feeling like, there's a little bit of electric shock going on as this is going on. So not only have you just fallen from a great height, but you're also like just kind of getting these electrical shocks. Is anyone doing anything while this is happening?
Melody is gonna, at first she's gonna kind of like jump back because she knew that one of her companions had disappeared, but her falling from the ceiling was not how she expected to find her, right? But then she's might move forward to try and grab her or help her. Not sure.
So you're gonna dive forward to try to grab Joe?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, the lottery is not particularly going to try to hold on to Joe necessarily. It's more of a, since he sees that she wasn't necessarily trying to hurt him, to hurt them. So they'll let you wrestle Joe away from them. He just sort of dusts off. It's like, well, that was entertaining. Anyone else doing anything to take advantage while the lottery is distracted, or are we back to the game?
While all that's happening, Virgil's just starting to think back to all of the memories of dealing with his money troubles, all that, and just trying to get as many coins as he can to start putting them on numbers.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a roll here. And this again will be against a pain of 6. As you are pulling out memories, trying to keep enough of yourself intact.
Alright, I'm going to up the exhaustion by 1,
Okay.
right?
Yep, you can do that.
Nice. Save that, and then boop. Boop.
And are
And
you
then
using
said
madness?
that I can do up to 6.
Up to 6, yeah.
Doing it.
Alright. I got 4 successes, you got 5, 6, 7 successes. Okay. You are able to cover most of the board. Not all of it, but a good portion of it. Like, you got 7 successes, you beat them by 3. You got like a good 3/4 of the board you think you've got covered at this point. You are having some issues remembering some things now, because as you put each coin down, it's like, wait, what was that? I know these represent parts of me, but I can't quite recall what they are. Let's see what's dominating. Madness is dominating. Sir, please check off a response. So what do you have in your fight or flight?
Let me pull it up. I have 1 fight and 2 flight.
Which one of those do you want to use up?
I guess a flight.
Okay, so as you do this means that you'll be, you check it off and you behave accordingly. The way that works is that you're basically now, it's like you're filled with adrenaline and you have a desperate need, not necessarily to run exactly per se. Well, you have a need to run, but it can be metaphorical. It doesn't have to be literally you run away. You're very much, your flight response is kicking in, so it's very much not wanting to deal with the thing, make it go away. Oh god, it's terrible type reaction.
Yeah.
So what are you doing?
So as that flight instinct kicks in, I'm gonna kind of turn around to the lottery, just be like, is there any other way?
The lottery just sort of turns, just sort of says, well, yes, I mean, you could hand me a suspect right now if you want. Just declare one, and then we'll set the lads after them, and your son will be returned to you.
I'm not giving up one of them. Is there any other way?
Well,
besides,
afraid all I've got on offer is the game.
And then Virgil, I'd say that he wants to leave, but he knows that if he leaves, everybody's gonna face the consequences from it. So he kind of just sighs and turns back to the board.
Says,
And then,
yeah. Well, tell you all what. Everyone can play if they so desire. You just merely cover some numbers, and whoever wins can go.
Melody is gonna step forward very cautiously, and she's gonna say, she's gonna just say, before we play, I have one question. I have one or two more questions for you. And she just says, she's like, I saw a boy here who looked like my brother. Was he my brother?
Yeah, the funny thing is the two kids are still here.
Oh, so she'll just be like...
They're just sort of cowering in the corner right now, hoping no one notices them.
Well, so she'll kind of reference him, and she'll be like, he looks like my brother, but the age just doesn't make sense.
Oh, well, he might have been at one time.
Ha.
Certainly now he's an orphan like everyone else.
And she says, and if, for those of us who are stuck staying here, what happens?
Well then, if we have someone who, well then that's when the fun begins. You see, we set the lads after those who, don't come along quietly. The awake are very valuable to us, you see. If you come along quietly, then, you get to meet my employer, the taxman. Otherwise, the hunt begins.
And if we come along quietly, what happens to us?
Well, you get to meet my employer, the taxman.
That's all you.
But if you come along quietly, you get to meet the taxman, and you will work in our employ. If as a nightmare. If, on the other hand, you resist, then the hunt begins. Then the lads come after you.
Okay. She steps back. So what's happening right now is Melody doesn't have anyone. And so she's almost willing to step forward and volunteer. But they never found her brother, and she still wonders if he could be out there, and she's not convinced that this boy is her brother.
Okay.
So she has to put her brother before his son.
Okay. Yeah, basically, for those of you, in case I didn't make it clear in the as I was trying desperately to find this character, the options are 1, give up, 2, run from horrible nightmare type things that'll be after you, 3, play the game. Those are basically the options he's giving.
Yeah. So she almost was going to give up.
Okay, but
she's going to play the game instead.
Okay, what is Ellie doing?
I think Ellie's gonna play the game.
And what is Joe doing? Since she's had enough time to kind of... You're really tired, but you've been able to hear what's going on.
Joe is going to look at the lottery, and she's going to hold out her hand and say, we can play the game, but you have to have we have to make a gentleman's agreement on it, otherwise how can we trust you? So, shake.
Very well.
I'm going to step forward to...
He extends his hand.
So when I grab his hand to shake, I want to try to possess him too.
All right. This will be fun. Let's see. So this is going to be a little harder.
No shit.
This is, yeah, so his guard is kind of down. But we're still going to, yeah, pain of 7 is what you're rolling against here. And you're going to need Yes, that's right. Possessing a nightmare. I'm going to make you roll all 6 madness dice.
What was the threshold?
You're rolling against 7 pain.
Okay.
Yeah. I also went in and I fixed the exhaustion, so that should reflect your current exhaustion.
Nope, still missing 3 dice. That's okay.
Unless I went to the wrong one, which I might have.
And oops, I didn't mean to. I accidentally re-rolled exhaustion, so ignore that.
Ah! Okay.
Or no, wait, sorry, I'm confusing myself. No, you're right. You fixed it right.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me count them up because I know what I rolled, so you don't get confused. So I got 5 successes off madness, 2 successes off discipline, 3 successes off exhaustion. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 successes.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. And they're all tied to dominate.
Okay, I got 1 success.
You got shit.
And let's see here.
Let me in your body, lottery man.
So you're going to succeed. However, pain dominates.
Oh, it does?
Well, I got a 6 and a 5.
Oh, I thought it was just 6s.
And you got a 6 and a 3 for madness. Which is the next highest.
Gotcha, that makes sense.
Unless, depending on how this exhaustion roll came out, I'm not entirely sure.
No, you're right. You're right. I just thought it was for whatever had the most 6s, but I see how it works, like how you break the tie.
I'll tell you what, though. I'm going to use my coin of despair
Oh.
No.
to
What is it?
change what dominates, so it's not pain dominating.
Oh no! What are you gonna do to me?
Giving everyone a coin of hope, which can be used to reduce exhaustion or take off a checked response. Instead, I'm going to put a 6 in madness, in the madness pool, and make madness dominate with 2 6s. So you're going to get to possess him, but you must check off a response.
Okay, and the response will kind of inform, like, my next move, basically.
Yes, it will.
Okay, I think this is a real moment of bravery here. So I'm gonna check off her 1 fight response.
Okay, so you all see this happen. You see her melt into the lottery, and as he's coursing with electricity, like, "Ah!" And you can feel him fighting you. You feel him fighting you as you dive in, but you are enraged by this whole thing as you're diving in, and so too is the lottery consumed with rage. You can sense that the lottery has just numbers, all manner of numbers all over the place in their head. They are clearly a being to try to control the odds, and all manner of and express themselves through all manner of gamery and such. And also they have electrical powers. And you are the lottery, and you are enraged. What are you doing?
I'm going to. This weird, like, combination of Joe's voice and the lottery's voice comes out of its body and says to you, "Run!" Whatever that voice would sound like, I have no idea. And I'm going to try to tap down, like, keep a lid on the enraged part, or channel inward anger at oneself versus outward. And I'm going to try to find something to attach myself to, something like a way to like I'm trying to figure out a way effectively to, like, handcuff the lottery to something, so when I pop out of them, I can get away.
Okay.
Because otherwise, I'm fucked right now.
Yeah. So the lottery is staggering around. Something you do note is that you also are able to dig around enough in the lottery's consciousness as you know where the nearest door back to
To the real
one
world?
of the city's slumbering, as they call it, or home, would be. And it's just outside. There's a news kiosk, strangely enough, that's got a sort of like a metal door on it, a blue painted metal door. And if you want, you can indicate that to them.
Yeah, I do that. I like croak it out. Find the door.
Yeah,
There's chaos. Metal.
the lottery is pointing in that direction, and staggering around as you're now trying to get it to get them to chain themselves up. Which actually, there are plenty of things in here that you could. There's some things in here you could creatively use to get it sort of bound up in pipes and what have you. So you start looking for that. And the rest
I
of
would
you,
like to help with that because I don't think my survivor's guild's going to let me leave her behind.
Okay, so you're going to help Joe look for that. Just sort of confine the lottery. Virgil and Melody, what are you doing?
Melody's gonna go for the kids.
Okay, you run over, and the kids are kind of come out of hiding as they see this struggle going on, and so you're able to get to them.
And could she use her madness power on the boy who looks like her brother?
Ah, you could indeed. Remind me your madness power again?
So, like, she can sense how he's feeling, and if the feeling's kind of, like, tied to something strong, she can see what it is.
Okay. Yes, that's going to be versus pain. I'll give it a pain of 3.
So that's my discipline then. And that's already 5. And then what else do I need to roll?
That's right, your madness talent. You're just trying to get a sense of how he's feeling right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that'd be, if it's just surface feelings you're looking for, you only need 1 madness die for that.
Well, I think she's hoping for something more.
If
She's
you want
hoping
to find
for
out if he's your brother,
yeah.
Then I would suggest at least 3 madness dice. Okay, let me roll pain. 1 success. You got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 successes. Okay.
And madness dominates.
And madness dominates. So you check off a response, and I'm going to tell you the news, and you may tell me how you react. So the good news is this is Matthew. The bad news is this is all that's left of Matthew. You get that same sensation that the you know how, like, the stewardess was not a full person?
Oh.
Apparently, yeah, Matthew has become a local. Matthew is not really a full person at this point.
So she's gonna kind of choke back tears, and she's just gonna tell them that you should run. You should run and get away now.
They run. They just sort of run. Start heading out. Matthew just sort of looks at you for a second and is like, "Thanks," and just sort of turns and runs. What's Virgil doing?
He's staying and playing the game.
Wow. Okay. So, Ellie. So Joe is holding back the lottery. Ellie is helping look for a way to confine the lottery. I think actually maybe Ellie should take the lead on this because she's the least distracted. So you're looking around for a way to confine the lottery so Joe can get away. As you kind of sense that's going on. So this will be versus. I'm going to do a pain of 3 on this.
I might roll 1 madness just because I'm willing to try anything.
Okay.
Maybe 2. But I'll roll my discipline first.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 madness. Well,
You must
I'm
also
not doing
roll-
good at this, you
well,
guys.
You must also roll exhaustion.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Well,
And now, Joe, just roll your discipline since you are both doing this. Okay. And I'm rolling pain. Oh.
oh no.
So,
Womp womp.
you do not find something immediately to confine the lottery. Let's see what's dominating here. Madness is dominating. Everyone involved in that row, so Ellie and Joe get to both check off responses. And,
Ruh-roh.
I'll check off fight.
okay. And, what you find is there's a, there is a piece of machinery that could do the job in here. Essentially, there's basically a looks like a sort of a farm. It's it's like a piece of farming machinery. Strangely enough, that's like a thresher that you could sort of pin them against, but it's gonna be kind of tough to get them in there. And also, what response did Joe check off?
Well, I used my only fight, so this one is flight.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, you want to get the hell out of there.
so I think at this point, I start to panic because I can't find anything. And also, the anger of the guy is really hard to control. Mm-hmm. And this is like a totally new thing for me. And I'm just running on pure adrenaline. And so I think that I just melt out of his body into this sort of puddle at his feet that forms into the human shape that I normally inhabit.
And how does Ellie react?
All right. I'm going to panic and I'll stop and I'll use my madness talent, which is kind of like Joe's, except I don't have to possess them. I just sort of control them like a puppet.
Excellent. All right, this is going to be... he was distracted recently. I'm going to do... We'll knock the pain down to 5, because the lottery is kind of messed up right now.
Mm-hmm. And I'll do all my madness dice, I guess.
Sure. Feel free.
Why not? All right, so discipline, exhaustion, and 6 madness dice.
Okay.
Oh, good.
All right, so I got 2 successes. You got 4 successes. And madness dominates. And so you check off another response. How many responses have you checked off so far?
I've just checked off the one, but I checked off my fight. Now I guess I'm checking off flight.
Okay. So here's what happens initially, and you can tell me how you react. So you say stop, and you've got him. The lottery just stands ramrod straight and doesn't move.
Okay, I'm gonna grab everyone and run towards the box that Joe told us about. Well, I can grab everyone who's moving and run. If Virgil is too busy playing, gambling, then I just want to leave.
Well, the wheel hasn't spun yet, so he can't really play until that happens. But it's up to him if he moves. So Ellie is trying to get folks to move toward the door. I will go around and start asking. Joe, are you moving toward the door?
Yeah, definitely. It's a slow, hobbled movement at first.
So tired. Melody, are you moving toward the door or not?
I had to check off her flight response in the last one, so she's moving to the door.
Excellent. Virgil, what are you doing?
Staying and playing the game.
All right, so you're just hanging out, and you're not willing to go. Ellie is not willing to go. Are you?
At this
right.
point, I don't think I can remember to leave.
Bye, Virgil.
No.
All right. So you, the 3 of you, bolt out of the Mad City, and Virgil, as you're watching, you just sort of sit there and stand there and wait for the lottery to recover as dogs bark violently outside, waiting to play the game. And the three of you, Ellie, Joe, and Melody, erupt into an airport terminal. Welcome to Houston. And that is where we are going to leave it, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, folks of all walks of life awaken to sleep. We have come to the end of Don't Rest Your Head. I'm going to go around and ask folks to give me a little bit of a bookend, to a bit of a coda for each character to tell me what happens to each character. You have control over this. We don't need to roll anything. You can decide how this is going to go. Whatever you think would be story appropriate. I'm going to go around clockwise, and I am going to start with Ellie. Megan, what happens ultimately to Ellie?
So first off, Ellie does not want to finish the second leg of her flight to LA. She is going to rent a car and drive there. And stay with her family and, deal with, like, that weird dream she definitely had on the plane. That definitely wasn't real.
Yeah.
But I think maybe she doesn't end up moving or going back home after the month with her family is up. She stays out there with them and tries to do the more relaxed lifestyle on the West Coast where things aren't, where it's easier to accept that things aren't always in her control.
Yeah, totally. Much easier to sleep too, I hear.
Yeah. Unless you're like up in Seattle and, it's dark all the time.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that. Knox, tell us, what happens to Joe?
I think Joe would want to keep in touch with Ellie or Melody because she needs someone to process what the fuck just happened. So she'd try to keep in touch with them, like on Facebook or some kind of social media, get their phone numbers if they want to. I think Ellie cancels the Sephora appearance.
Not the Sephora appearance.
Joe cancels the Sephora appearance. I think ignoring the skipping or glossing over the sort of immediate ramifications. I think the long-term ramifications are that obviously she ends up going back to the Mad City because that's what happens. And I think that she will look for Virgil whenever she goes back. And the experience is so life altering and changing, and it makes her feel even less like she can relate to other people. I think she kind of turns into this really antisocial person, and she completely loses her social media presence, stops getting the sort of deals with sort of sponsorship deals she had gotten previously, I think in lieu of that, she starts taking up black and white photography of esoteric subject matter, because that's all she can really think about after seeing what she sees in the Mad City. So
all right, excellent. And Kelly, what happens to Melody?
Well, so up till this point, her entire life, I mean, she's a crime novelist, but it's because she's been trying to find her brother and trying to find ways to learn more about what happened to him. And so I think she takes a hard left turn, and she's still writing because it's how she processes, but she starts writing psychological thriller, paranormal fantasy books kind of based off of this world, and hunting for stories from people who that resonates with, to try and find more people who seem to be awake and try and get back there and she almost rededicates her life to rather finding everything to more of like trying to get back to the Mad City and punish the people who deserve.
Yeah, it's not too hard. Just stay awake long enough. You'll start seeing doors, different ways in. Things that you never saw before. Doors, windows, archways. They just show up and you can start hunting nightmares.
But she's trying to be smart about it. So she's like trying to collect stories of people. Like, she's trying to learn about this place through the stories of other people who've been there.
Cool. Absolutely awesome. And finally, Trey, what happens to Virgil?
So, what Virgil 100% would do in this situation is, with the last few memories of the deal that he had made and the last few memories of his son, he would put the last of his memories on the table and then let the game play out. And then he would most likely have filled up the entire table by then.
Yeah. So you'd win.
So he'd win, just not the long game. But
Because the memory you get to keep is the one that you put on the right number.
yeah. And the only thing that he remembers is him putting that number on, and then later being reunited with his kid, of which he doesn't know.
Oh, the tragedy. Do you hang around in the Mad City or do you leave?
Definitely, probably. Well, didn't the lottery say that we were going to be put back to one of the awakened cities?
Oh yeah, he'd show you the way back, but you get to choose.
I'd probably end up, like my son, like leading me through to the, back to the awakened cities.
All right.
Whatever they're called.
Huh. The city's slumbering.
Yeah, that one.
Of the city's slumbering. Indeed. Awesome. So, can't really remember much, but yeah, you won. Congratulations. And that, folks, is Don't Rest Your Head. Thank you so much for playing. That was cool. That was cool. I'm going to go around this time the opposite way. I'm going to ask folks to say what you thought of the game and where people can find you. I'm going to start opposite way from the beginning, and so I'm going to start with. I will start with Kelly. How's it going? What did you think of the game, and where can folks find you?
Oh, hi. That was cool. I like this. I've never played this game before, so I want to play more and find out more about this place. I think it's really cool, and I like creepy stuff, not just in October. Like, this is my life year round. I'm all like, if I could play horror on Christmas Day, I would do it and make Santa crazy. So I enjoyed it. I apologize, and I apologize again for my dog barking. But anyway, you can find me on Twitter at @KellyLane. I tweet there quite a bit, mostly about D&D. A good chunk, though, pops up about my actual job. And you can find me every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. EST on Scroticus's channel, playing Curse of Strahd, which also fits with my spooky horror life preferences. I will say that game is super spoopy because the people I am playing with are hilarious, and the funnier your characters get, the more you can throw at them. So we're all in on the making jokes that we could be as creepy as possible. And then on Sunday, you can find me back here, right? This upcoming Sunday.
Yep, 1 week from today.
Playing the second half of our Still Waters Run Deep game of Rosette Diceless, which was like a super cool thing. There's no dice, guys. How do you play? Do you use it? And then otherwise, I just appear magically on other channels, just randomly. So follow me on Twitter to.
Awesome. Yes, and always wonderful to play with. Thank you so much. And Nox, same question. What did you think of the game, and where can folks find you?
Yeah, I liked it. I would never have played this myself if it wasn't for you saying, "Hey, here's this game that I'm playing." The TV Tropes article that you linked us to kind of give us a feel for it listed like some of the major like groups or NPCs, which we didn't really get to see a lot of except for a few of them.
Yeah.
But I like the style of the game a lot. From what I read from there, which like the sort of like gothic Victorian, creepy, antique-y sort of thing. So yeah, I'd actually love to play this again or to run it for friends. I thought it was really cool. On the internet, you can find me at NoxNoctua on Twitter, where I tweet about my life, politics, role-playing games, fun stuff like that. In the tabletop gaming universe, you can find me every Tuesday on Anaris' channel playing in Adventures League game in the Tomb, playing through Tomb of Annihilation. And every Thursday, you can find me on Variant Roll's channel playing in Waterdeep Dragon Heist, playing through that. And I'm super excited about that game. It's a really good group of people, and my character is a lot of fun playing in Eladrin, so I get to have her change seasons, and the sort of way that affects Eladrin is fun to play with. And then this Saturday on my my little Twitch channel, Fable Tales, I'll be running a fantasy age game set in their Blue Rose setting. Running through an adventure there with some friends that I know from the real world, so that's been fun. Had to cancel the last game, so we only play every 2 weeks. I mean, it's been about a month since we last played, so so I'm looking forward to getting back into that. And then immediately following it at 6 Mountain Time, I'm in a Dungeon World game over on Mort's Magical Wares. It's been going. We've been playing that game since the beginning of this year, I think. So there's we're effectively what feels like in season 2 of it. So yeah, that's me, and that's what I do.
Awesome, thanks so much. I'm thrilled that I got to play. I've been getting to play these games with you. It's very awesome. And because folks may not know this, but Nox is one of the people that actually helped me gateway into this whole Twitch thing. So it was very awesome getting to do that. And Megan, same question. What do you think of the game, and where can folks find you?
I thought this game was great. I play a lot of horror games, mostly investigative horror games like Call of Cthulhu or Trail of Cthulhu or Delta Green. And so I always love playing new horror games, and I really liked the mechanics for this one. It worked out really well. Playing those sort of games, you can find me on the Redacted Files podcast. We play pretty much anything that catches our interest, and we release games every Sunday. Today, we released a game of Mission Accomplished for Jeff Stormer's Kickstarter. And then next, we're doing Fear Itself for Halloween. I also run a Numenera Actual Play podcast, which comes out every other Wednesday, called The Amber Clave. And we recently started streaming Tachyon Squadron every other Friday at 6:30 p.m. PST. The next game will be on November 2nd, and you can find the archives on YouTube. I have all of that bookmarked if you find us on Twitter. And you can find me on Twitter at Curium247.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you again. Thank you again so much for playing. That was cool.
Yeah.
Very glad to get to do that. And finally, Trey. Same question.
I really enjoyed this. It was very fun. I really liked the aspect of the very trying decision that Virgil had to make. But I'm happy with what I determined. But you can find me here on Twitch at BeastGames312. Barely do anything. On Twitter at BeastGames312. Don't do much, but do a little bit. And yeah.
Very cool, man. Thanks again for playing. That's always neat when folks reach out and fill in the various forms to to try to join. I've just started finally figuring out how to use Google Forms, and so I've started using them for recruitment. And, so it's very cool to see just something like that happen. Awesome. Once again, I'm Jim Ryan. I, as always, Don't Rest Your Head is one of my favorite games, so I always have a good time with it. I love running it. So it's thank you all for stepping up and playing this. You guys were awesome. I had a very cool experience with it, and it's always neat getting to see what folks do with their stories and trying to weave nightmares out of them. It's a delightful thing. But as for me, you can find me at OtherDoc on Twitch and Twitter. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I've put links on my Twitch page down below to my Twitter, YouTube, and website, along with a link to the incredibly silly short story I've just released on Amazon, if you'd like to check that out. On Twitch, every Tuesday evening, I play Urban Shadows over on Off the Table, where I get to play the thoroughly exhausted Dr. Frank Riley, who will probably soon be sleep-deprived enough to end up in the Mad City himself. I cannot wait for that to happen. Then on this channel on Friday afternoons and Saturday mornings, I play computer games. In those time slots, I'm currently playing Empire TV, Tycoon, and We Happy Few, respectively. As for RPGs, I can now announce that if you've been waiting with bated breath for the next episode of The Cold Ruins of Last Life, you won't have to wait for too much longer. We'll be playing it 2 Saturdays hence on November 3rd, so be on the lookout for that. Finally, 1 week from today, just in time for Halloween, we'll be rounding out the month with the conclusion of Still Waters Run Deep. Just as Kelly said, a Rosette Diceless story narrated by Melissa Avery Weir, one of the creators of the game. Kelly will be back with us for that. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm so ready. I've been waiting, I've been counting down the weeks.
I cannot wait.
We're in the middle of a creepy, medical, spoopy mystery, and we don't know what's going on, and I'm excited to find out.
Excellent. Still water run deep, and apparently they move when you try to touch them, and it's terrifying. So one thing also I wanted to mention is that I've started recruiting players for the one-shots I'll be running in November. I'm looking for players for a very interesting game called Durance. It's a sci-fi prison drama by Jason Morningstar, who wrote Fiasco. It tells stories about power struggles, and I'm going to take a stab at applying it to a few different settings. And so if you'd like to sign up for that, I've put a link out to a form you can submit on my Twitter feed, and on one of I tweeted it out recently. Within the next few days, I should also hopefully have links for that up both down below on my Twitch page and on my website. The forum has more info and links, so feel free to check that out. And let's see, is there anyone? I feel like there's nothing really major going on that I see at the moment, so no need to worry about raidery just at the moment. But thank you so much for watching, folks. Take care, and I will see you all of a sudden. Farewell!
Bye.